Happy Monday. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Fresh Squeeze is a quick Monday morning reminder that you can do the hard things with your money and a few tips on how to get started. Today's theme is new baby costs. My name is Kelly Reddy-Heffner, and although there is no one-size-fits-all solution to finances, you can start somewhere and work towards accomplishing what you want to do. A big personal and financial milestone is starting a family. Today we loop to the opposite end of the spectrum from college funding, which I discussed last time, to those new baby funding thoughts and priorities. As a financial planner, I often get asked how much is needed and how best to prepare for the arrival of a new family member. There are several important considerations, at least initially: leave, childcare after leave, costs to prepare for the arrival, and those ongoing changes to the budget. I say there's just a few things, but obviously they're kind of pretty big and important items. But we're going to break them down and at least give you some high-level thoughts on how to navigate. For leave, it is important to have an awareness of your employer's leave policy. Ideally, when you take a position, that's one thing that is part of the negotiation conversation, to have an understanding along with all the benefits that you will have as an employee. If you do not have an awareness and you are ready to start the conversation about starting a family, you should get this information at your earliest appropriate time frame from Human Resources, because it is an important thing to know. The Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, provides certain employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave per year. It also requires that your group health benefits be maintained during the leave. FMLA generally applies to all public agencies, public and private elementary and secondary schools, companies with 50 or more employees. Employers must provide the eligible employee with the up to 12 weeks, and some of the reasons include birth and care of a newborn for an employee, adoption, foster care, to care of an immediate family member with a serious health condition, a spouse, child, or parent, or to take medical leave yourself if you are unable to work due to a serious medical condition. Employees are typically eligible to qualify for FMLA if they've been with their employer at least 12 months and worked 1,250 hours in the past 12 months. There are some provisions about number of employees and kind of a distance to where the employees work. So it's good to check in on that and make sure you check all the boxes. The big question after knowing the provisions of FMLA with that unpaid protection is, does your employer offer any portion or all that is paid? So employers can have a wide variety of policies. That is an important detail. Knowing if it needs to be used like a paid leave in conjunction with vacation time, sick days, coordinated PTO, important to know, because you want to plan ahead as far as you can if you need to modify vacation or travel plans to be able to accommodate your plans for leave as efficiently as possible. Some have, or like things that can be worked out with working part weeks, etc. So a lot of options. It's good to know what your options are. The next component is childcare costs. This is kind of a big one. So childcare is fairly expensive. It is good to know how your work hours will be structured after the new family member arrives, what amount of care is needed. In 2023, the average US household spent $321 per week on daycare. That's almost $1,300 per month. So I highly recommend shopping, knowing what your childcare provider costs are going to be, picking a provider that meets your lifestyle and budget needs. Once you know the amount, I highly recommend minimizing or having no credit card debt, no personal loans, and trying to allocate the amount of the daycare costs into your monthly budget as soon as you are able to. You can either build up an emergency fund if it's not fully funded. You can put some aside towards building the nursery, needed baby items, those types of things. But the sooner you can get that monthly amount comfortably into your budget, the better. So I do recommend trying to pay for childcare as tax efficiently as possible. That tax efficiency is typically through a dependent care flexible spending account. So I suggest exploring that option with your employer. You will want to estimate how much you're going to need for the remainder of year one. So that first year, especially if the new arrival is in the back half of the year, you may not need the full amount. The dependent care FSA is use or lose, so you only want to put in as much as you're going to need. So figuring out what that amount is and probably leaning on the lower side in year one would be helpful. A dependent care FSA uses pre-tax dollars to pay for qualified out-of-pocket dependent care expenses. So you contribute to the dependent care FSA. It's not subject to payroll tax, so you end up paying less in taxes and have a little bump in your paycheck typically. But again, with the goal of being able to take care of some of those expenses as efficiently as possible. Eligible expenses typically are care for a dependent under age 13, before and after school care, babysitting, nanny expenses, daycare, nursery school, preschool, some summer camps. Typically the key is for taxes connecting the social security number or the EIN number of the provider with your household social security numbers when you file your tax return. So the IRS is looking to match what you spent with what somebody received. The limit is $2,500 a year if you're married filing separately, $5,000 per year if you're married filing joint, single, or head of household. There are some income provisions, so it's good to just double check what the income requirements are. In regards to the final item, lifestyle spending changes. This can have wide variety and variability like all lifestyle expenses. So I would say make purchases in preparation and plans that are suitable for your income and your lifestyle. Pick something that's authentic, that you're not going to be putting a financial strain on your family. The last thing is when your new addition arrives, make sure to update health insurance, safeguard their social security number with a freeze, reconfirm your FSA contribution, update your will and estate planning documents, revisit your life insurance needs, and consider future education funding goals, but not to the detriment of your own retirement account. Next week, we'll talk about the important stage between new baby and maybe heading off to higher education before we transition to travel budgets and fabulous travel itineraries. If you've been tuning in since week 1, have you been able to accomplish 1 month towards your savings goal that you identified? If yes, fantastic. Celebrate, keep going. Every small step counts towards that bigger objective that you have in mind. If no, what prevented you from reaching the goal, and what one step can you start today to make a change to accomplish what you want to do? Thanks for tuning in and have a great week.